Have you ever tried to explain something only to get completely tangled up in your own words? Yeah, defining things clearly is way harder than it looks. But in the world of high-stakes philosophy, like in an ancient text called the Sribhasyam, just one flawed definition can derail the entire search for truth. So, how did these ancient thinkers make sure they had absolute clarity? Well, let's start with what seems like a simple question.
Seriously, take a second. How would you actually define an elephant? It seems so easy, right? I mean, you know one when you see one. But trying to capture its true essence in just a few words, well, that's a really fascinating challenge.
And that's exactly the point. In these really deep, logical debates in Indian philosophy, precision isn't just a nice-to-have, it's everything. To navigate all that complexity, ancient thinkers developed this incredibly sharp toolkit for thinking, a whole system for building ideas with absolute, rock-solid clarity. So let's open it up and take a look at the first tool.
Okay, so the first and most fundamental tool is learning to see the world in two parts. You've got the object itself, and then you've got all of its qualities. In Sanskrit, these are called dharma and dharmag.
Think of it like this, a rose. The rose itself is the dharmi. It's the substance, the actual thing that holds all the qualities together. Now, its redness, its beautiful scent, the soft feel of its petals, those are all its dharma, its attributes. So the dharmi is the what, and the dharma is the what it's like. It sounds like a simple distinction, but trust me, it's incredibly powerful.
All right, so we can separate a thing from its attributes. Cool. But how does that help us build a perfect, totally unbreakable definition? This is where we get to the master tool of the whole system, the art of lakshana, which is really the art of precise definition.
Okay, let's go back to our elephant. If we just start listing its attributes, we're going to run into some trouble pretty fast. Sure, it has 4 legs, a large body, a tail, but so does a cow, and a buffalo, and a rhino. See the problem? These are just common attributes, and they don't help us isolate what an elephant truly is.
And this is where the logic gets, it gets really beautiful. Instead of listing everything an elephant has in common with other animals, the whole goal of lakshana is to find the one single exclusive attribute, what they call the asadharana dharma, that belongs only to the elephant and nothing else.
And there it is. Boom! An animal that has a trunk is an elephant. No other animal has one. This single characteristic is in all elephants, and it's absent in all non-elephants. That is a concise, precise, and completely airtight definition. It's just perfect.
Now, this obsession with precision goes way beyond just defining animals. You can think of it as a form of knowledge compression. When every single concept has a perfect, airtight definition, you can build these incredibly complex ideas with very, very few words. The ancient Brahma Sutras, for example, managed to address the entire spectrum of spiritual philosophy in just 545 super dense statements. And it all works because it's built on this foundation of logical clarity.
Of course, if you're going to build perfect definitions, you also need to know all the ways they can break. It's like quality control for your thoughts. The tradition actually identified 3 classic errors, or lakshana doshas, that can completely ruin a definition.
So let's look at these 3 classic traps. The first one is called ativyapti, or over-pervasion. If you define an elephant as an animal with 2 eyes, that's just way too broad. That includes almost everything. Then you've got avyapti, or under-pervasion. Saying it's an animal with tusks is too narrow, right? Because that leaves out lots of female elephants, and some males too. And finally, there's asambhava, or impossibility. Defining an elephant as an animal with a mane, well, that just doesn't apply at all. You're describing a lion.
So why all this intense focus on rules and flaws and definitions? What's the real payoff here? It turns out this entire system is designed to achieve 2 really big goals that are just as important for us today as they were thousands of years ago.
It all comes down to this. The first goal, vyavarti, is to perfectly differentiate one thing from literally everything else that exists. And once you've done that, you can achieve the second goal, vyavahara, which is to communicate that precise knowledge to someone else without any chance of confusion. It's the ultimate foundation for both clear thinking and clear communication.
And that really brings us to a final thought. This system wasn't just invented to win debates about animals. It was designed to help us understand the most complex ideas you can imagine. So if this ancient toolkit can bring such flawless clarity to defining something as simple as an elephant, just think about what it could do for the more complex ideas that we all wrestle with in our own lives.